Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Kansas City Profiles, presented by Easton Roofing, and today a summertime trip down memory lane, talking baseball, talking basketball, with the voice of the Kansas City Royals on television from 1980 to 1992, Denny Trease, who also had time as the University of Kentucky Wildcats play-by-play announcer in the 70s when they were one of the top programs in basketball. Of course, they've been one of the top programs in basketball just about forever. And so he's been with two iconic franchises, as it were, as an announcer, also a television sports reporter for many, many years in Kentucky, as well as in Kansas City here, and part of one of the iconic television teams at WDAF-TV, along with Frank Bowl and Gordon Docking and Al Wallace, and certainly part of our Kansas City culture. And after going back to Kentucky after his time with the Royals, he's back here in Kansas City, enjoying time with his son and grandchildren, and his daughter lives in California. He's got many tales to tell about broadcasting and baseball. Small-town Ohio boy who grew up playing all three sports but loved baseball and took the opportunity to go to college in Florida, and then indeed went to Kentucky to talk basketball, but always baseball his first love, and he got to spend a dozen of the better years of the Kansas City Royals franchise, including a championship year in 1985 as the television voice of the Kansas City Royals. It's a pleasure to share stories with a humble and great storyteller, Denny Trease, coming up next on Kansas City Profiles, presented by Easton Roofing.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing, and boy, we had to negotiate a million things in 2020, but Easton Roofing navigated them all. As 2021 rolls out, what should we expect this coming storm season?
Well, Danny, it'll be the same thing as it is every year. You know, the storms come, and you've got the guys out knocking on doors, offering quote-unquote free inspections. Be wary as a homeowner. If somebody's knocking on your door, they probably need the work, and if they need the work that bad, they may be willing to do something untoward to get it. So if somebody knocks on your door, says they want to give you a free inspection, just tell them have a great day and give us a call. We'll come out for free and give you a good, honest opinion as to whether or not you need to do anything at all with your roof.
And what's the best way to get in touch with Easton Roofing?
You can always find us online at eastonroofing.com or give us a call at 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Visions' goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. We're here once again with Dr. Brad Woodall from Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Springtime, good weather's finally here. People want to stay active, and it's your job to make sure that they can stay active, and be healthy.
Danny, we see a lot of not just weekend warriors, but people that every day are having that want to get back to activity. Whether you're starting with walking, jogging, or maybe that first 5K of the year, we want to help you out. We specialize in taking care of all ages, from kids all the way to grandmas and grandpas, but absolutely specialize in getting you back to full function and keeping you in great shape.
So in short, how do we go about doing that?
The first thing is to schedule a consultation with one of our doctors and therapists so we can see how you move and how you're supposed to move. Based on our assessment, we can put together a short treatment plan and a set of goals to help you both feel better, function better, and most importantly, stay better for this year and many years to come.
Learn more at asfca.com/Danny. That's asfca.com/Danny. Let's have a brief conversation with David Schmidt from Pro Millennial. David, what differentiates you from other financial organizations?
I would say the passion we have for seeing our clients succeed is probably paramount to what we do here. There's no joy greater than watching a client accumulate wealth. I had a client that I've had for many years was able to buy his dream warehouse. Nothing too extravagant, but we had a savings plan in place and was able to see him fulfill his dreams.
And what else motivates you in this industry?
Well, lately it's been finding out inconsistencies in the marketplace, ferreting out some more than questionable ideas out there that what we're seeing with Bitcoin and a few of these other cryptocurrencies right now. I'm in the opinion where if it's untraceable, it really needs to be regulated in a big way right now.
To get more information and advice from David, visit promillennial.com or call 816-221-7775. That's 816-221-7775. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkScale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Denny, you grew up in Northeast Ohio as a Cleveland Indians fan, but maybe before you were even a fan, what was it like being a little boy in that area of the world at the time you were growing up?
Pretty innocent. I grew up on a dairy farm, and my dad started the Little League baseball in that area, north central Ohio, and just a fun life back then.
Did you have siblings?
Yeah, I had an older brother, 2 years older than me, and he was an outstanding athlete, kind of a tough act to follow.
When you have that type of thing, a lot of times the second kid, because he's a couple of years younger and he tags along and he has to play against other people who are a little bit older. What kind of athlete were you when you were a kid?
Oh, I was a decent athlete, not outstanding, but had some good games and some bad games, but I did play basketball, football, and baseball, all three sports in high school.
And what was that experience like for you? And what positions did you play? And what kind of aptitude did you have? And how much fun did you have?
Well, most of my success in football came running back, punts, and kickoffs. Did have some speed back then. It's all gone now, but could run pretty good back then. And so that was my main area of success in football. And I had a good baseball career in high school. I'd say that was probably my best sport. And in basketball, I was 5'7", 150 pounds. So I got the most out of what talent I had, I guess.
What kind of town was it that you grew up in?
Upper Sandusky, Ohio, is a town of about 6,000 people. It was a fairly small school, but we played some fairly large schools that were on our schedule, and I thought it was a great place. Like I say, a great place to grow up, and still have a lot of fond memories of that area.
When did you start to develop an interest in what you would eventually go on to do?
I think I was in high school, probably my late years of high school, when it struck me that maybe my best chance of ever becoming a part of professional baseball might be as an announcer rather than as a player. I wasn't even a part of the radio club. There was one at high school. I didn't even join it, but did decide to go to the University of Miami, Florida, and major in broadcasting. And while I was there, I was lucky enough to become the play-by-play voice of the University of Miami Hurricanes baseball team. And I think that eventually helped me land the Royals announcing job.
What time frame are we talking about now? When did you go to college?
That was back in the 60s. I graduated college in '69.
Well, that's 1969. You would quickly rise the ladder in broadcasting. What was your when you got out of college? What was your first enterprise?
Well, my first job was as a announcer on both radio and television for WIMA in Lima, Ohio. which was about 45 minutes away from my hometown and out there in Upper Sandusky, and stayed there 2.5 years, and was lucky enough then to find a job as the as the voice of the University of Kentucky Wildcats in basketball and football. And of course, Kentucky basketball is the winningest program in the history of that sport. So I was extremely fortunate to land where I did there, and I think that experience definitely helped me get the Royals job then in 1980.
You obviously must have had a tremendous aptitude for this to get such great opportunities at an early age. Did you have a sense when you started out that this was something that was a natural fit for you, that you were good at it?
Yeah, I did. As a kid, I just listened to every game I could on the radio and watched on television, and always made note of what the announcers were doing and how they were doing it, and saying to myself that might be an avenue for me someday to get into baseball. And I was, like I say, I loved that sport from the get-go, and still consider myself very fortunate to have landed with the Royals at a time when George Brett was at his height, and they went to their first World Series in my very first year as a broadcaster here in 1980, and then in '85 they won the whole thing, and it was just a great place to be, and my timing was perfect.
Let's go back to your time in Kentucky. Obviously, they were one of the true powerhouse. Well, they've been almost nonstop forever, but certainly the 70s were a great era of Kentucky basketball, and you've written a couple books about that and such. Tell us a little bit about your time in Kentucky.
Well, again, the timing was perfect. They went to 2 national championship games while I was there. They lost to UCLA in a close one in 1975, and then in 1978, just so happened that the NCAA finals were played in St. Louis, Missouri, and sure enough, Kentucky won it all, and that was really a big thrill and one of the highlights of my career, without question.
Joe B. Hall was the coach of Kentucky when you were there, and from the outside, he didn't look like a very friendly man. I've heard otherwise. Besides that, what was your relationship like with the legendary coach?
It was a very close relationship. We became very close friends, and remained so. I thought he was a wonderful guy and easy to talk to, and I think he got kind of a bad rap, to tell you the truth. Trying to replace a legend,
Mm-hmm.
they'd offer up the winningest coach in the history of the game, but Joe had 13 very successful years at Kentucky, and finally just decided to step out of the spotlight and spend more time at home. But I loved the guy.
What you said that baseball was your true love, but you're at Kentucky, and it's an incredibly iconic basketball program. What were the circumstances of you deciding that maybe moving on and getting into Major League Baseball were?
Well, I really, as I say, baseball was always my number one love, even though I sure wasn't going to turn down the opportunity to do Kentucky basketball. But I saw, I guess it was in Broadcasting Magazine, that the Royals were changing networks and were looking for a new television announcer. And so I sent a tape and a resume out, and then just forgot that I'd even done that. I mean, I didn't really expect to ever hear back, and suddenly I got a call from a man named Bud Turner, and said he was the executive director of the Royals Network, and would I be interested in coming out and auditioning for the job, and so I said, you bet your life I would, and went out and auditioned, and was lucky enough to win the job.
That was 1980, obviously. As you were in your time at Kentucky, what was away from broadcasting? What was your personal life? How was that developing?
Well, I did shows at 6 and 11, anchoring the sports on the CBS station there in Lexington, Kentucky, and so that kept me very busy. But then it got super busy in basketball and football season because they always played, games on the weekends, and usually there would be in basketball it would be a Saturday Monday combination. So I stayed very busy. But don't regret a minute of the time that I spent there, though. It just made a lot of wonderful friends, and we still have so many contacts, close friends back there in Lexington, Kentucky.
Was that a period of time that you met your wife?
No, actually, we were high school sweethearts.
Oh, okay. And when did you get married in college, or did you get married in high school?
Well, we got married my senior year of college, and her senior year, she had been at Ohio University, and decided to drop out to marry me. I'm sure glad she did. We've had 2 children and 4 grandchildren, and a good life together.
You come to the Royals, right? Obviously, they were established as a fantastic team, and they were about to go on a stretch where they would appear in 2 World Series and win one of them. What was it like coming to Kansas City and being in that situation with a franchise that was kind of ruling the town?
Well, for one thing, it didn't take me long to see that Kansas City was a great baseball town. People here are very knowledgeable about baseball and really into the sport, and and a great stadium. I never broadcast a game in the old Metropolitan Stadium, but or Municipal Stadium. I just was so fortunate. Like I say, I just had to pinch myself sometimes. And say, is this real? Is this, joining a team that has a lot of bad finishes to seasons against the Yankees in the playoffs? But in 1980, they finally beat the Yankees in 3 straight and went on to the World Series against the Phillies, and eventually lost in 6 games there. But then became, like I say, world champions in '85.
What was the relationship like at the time between the ball players and the announcer? You traveled with the team, obviously, and at that point in time, and maybe it was a different time, less adversarial, maybe more friendly. What was it like being the announcer for a team in the 1980s?
Yeah, I never considered it an adversarial relationship at all. There were just so many great guys on that team, and George Brett never gave me a bad interview in all the years that we were together, and Dan Quisenberry was another great interview. He's just such an interesting guy, but just so many good people on that team. It didn't surprise me that they had the success that they did on the field, because they're just such a wonderful group off the field.
And also, you were doing television here in Kansas City in the sports reports, and part of a broadcast team that's pretty iconic with people who are still familiar and been familiar for years to Kansas Cityans. Tell us a little bit about your cohorts at WDAF.
Well, it really was a good group with Frank Bowl and Gordon Docking. Like I say again, just really good people, and I still count them among my close friends. And anytime we can get together now, it's fun to go back and reminisce about the days at WDAF Channel 4.
It's hard to almost imagine now that a television station would have 4 full-time sports reporters for the time that they give to sports on the television news. What was that aspect of it like?
Yeah, I was surprised that, because I didn't mention Al Wallace before, but
right.
Al was the 4th, and I think it was kind of an unusual situation, but I was just thankful to have the time spend with those guys that I did, I just think it was a pretty doggone good, strong team.
Where did you live in Kansas City when you came, and what was it like raising your kids here?
We lived on the Kansas side in Shawnee, and it was just a wonderful community. Our neighbors were great, and we're still friends. Some of them have moved on to other states, other cities, but we still have close friends living here, and get to see them whenever we can.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from WreckExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident from David Cowan. Visit WreckExpert.com and learn more.
Hey everyone, this is Matt Llewellyn for the 23rd Street Brewery. Thank you so much for supporting local restaurants, especially through this pandemic. And you know what? We're almost through it. At the 23rd Street Brewery, we have brought in a few more tables. You can wear a mask if you want, or not. It's your choice. Other than that, we're open 11:30 every single day. So come see us at the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence.
Time to spend a few minutes with my good friend Jeff Dillon from Dillon's Heating and Cooling. And Jeff, what differentiates your company from others in the industry?
Plain and simple, we're honest. We have integrity, and we're going to do things right the first time. There's way too many companies out there that lie, cheat, hide things from the homeowner or customer, and we're not about that. It's kind of funny sometimes. I actually am so honest with some people, it kind of surprises them. But sometimes it's good for business, sometimes it's bad for business. But ultimately, it's the kind of business that I want to run, is an honest one.
And that family way of treating things is part of your slogan, and it's also part of one of your great features that you offer to customers.
Our slogan is like family. Our most popular maintenance plan is called the Family Plan. It's very similar to a lot of ones out there. The little tweak that we do to ours, 1% off for every 2 years. They have a continued maintenance plan with us. If they have a maintenance plan for 10 years, then we give them 5% off. No questions asked.
You can find out more about Dillon's Heating and Cooling and all their great range of services at dillonsheatingandcooling.com. That's Dillon's with an S. The phone number, 913-214-1343. We're here with Michael Barber, the CEO and founder of Microlight Corporation of America, the world leaders in laser therapy. And Michael, tell us a little bit about your product.
Our device is using a particular wavelength and power to reduce pain and swelling. My background is surgical lasers, but I've been involved with this particular device now for about the last 20 years, actually.
And I know that it works because I've had it used on me as well. And tell us about the relationship you have with your company and Canaway.
It's what I call a strategic business relationship in that Canaway, the leader in the field of the cannabinoid systems and CBD oil, but our device used in conjunction with Canaway CBD oil gives a better pain relief outcome for the patient.
And if you want to get that pain relief outcome like I did, you can reach their local representative, Sherry McCants, at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
We're speaking with Denny Trease. He was the Royals announcer from 1980 to 1992, and obviously the voice of the Kentucky Wildcats, as you have heard. Talk about that run with the Royals for 12 years. They were good the entire time, and basically, they sort of turned into a rock star type of team even after the championships. They spent money at the level of other teams in Major League Baseball and had big stars like Bo Jackson and brought in free agents and everything else. That was quite a time.
Yeah, of course, Bo came in while I was there, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, and I still can't explain it, but I think from the time Bo Jackson signed and started trying to play both football and baseball at the same time, the Royals underachieved. I thought there was enough talent to win championships, after that '85 season. But it just didn't happen again, and I'm not blaming Bo for that, but for some reason it just didn't work out quite as well as I think everybody had hoped.
What was your approach to doing games at that point in time? What did you feel like your responsibility to the viewer was as far as painting the story and also obviously making the team, and you didn't really have to fake anything. They were good, but what was your approach to it?
Well, my approach was, on television,
right.
Keep it simple, stupid. So KISS was my, was my byline. You just didn't want to tell them anything more than what, you wanted to add the things that the audience couldn't see for themselves at home. And so I guess I was a minimalist in the way of words. And I think sometimes announcers tend to get a little too wordy on television and say things that aren't necessary.
When the Royals won the World Series in 1985, it was one of the short spans of time when I didn't live here. What were the playoff circumstances? Did you do any television then, or radio, or what was because the games are always on network television? What was that ride like when a team would be in the playoffs then?
Well, back then, you could do it. The local television could do the playoffs, not the World Series. When it got to the World Series, then the network took over. But back then, you could do the playoffs yourselves, and we did. And I still remember those 3 games in the sweep of the Yankees in 1980. It was. I remember. I forgot. That there was going to be a big celebration if we won that 3rd straight game in New York. And so I was wearing the best suit that I owned, and it was soaked with champagne that night, and I wish I'd had remembered that I was, I wouldn't have worn my best suit.
How about in the World Series? Obviously, you're working in television too, so I'm sure you were covering the games. But was it a little weird to be watching the high point of the team that you broadcast for and not be broadcasting it directly during the game?
Oh, no doubt about that. It seemed strange, like why aren't I a part of this? But I understand that's just the way that things were lined up at that time, and like I say, I'm still lucky to have spent that entire season as the television voice of what turned out to be the world champions in '85.
What were the story? You stopped doing the Royals games in 1992. What were the circumstances surrounding that?
Well, the Royals put the rights, the television rights, up for bid at the end of that particular contract, and I remember going into my boss and saying, "Hey, I know that this contract's coming up for bid. We're looking to buy a home. We'd found a lot that we really liked out in Lenexa, and I said, is there any chance that we're going to lose the Royals? And he said, no, as long as the Royals are in Kansas City, they'll be on Channel 4, and you'll be doing the games. And so we bought the house, and wouldn't you know, the way things turned out, they got a higher bid from another station, and Channel 4 lost the games, and I lost the job. As so often happens in that situation, that the new rights holder wants to bring in somebody, who isn't associated with
Right.
the old station, and so that's the way that happened.
How difficult was
I
that?
eventually went back to Kentucky, and went back to my old station there in Kentucky, and it was good, but I still wish I had been able to spend more than just those years that I did in Kansas City.
You speak about it sort of matter of factly, but that must have been a really difficult thing, especially when you had been assured that your future was here.
Yeah, it was tough, no doubt about it. You can't plan these things really. You can't plan your career. You never know what sideline is going to take, and it was tough at the time. But I'm just glad with the way things worked out. As I say, I went back to Kentucky and had some very very enjoyable years there, and now we've got grandchildren here in Kansas City, and I'm back here enjoying them. And we get out to the stadium, a few times a year. And I rarely miss a game on TV, and just really enjoy staying involved with the team that way.
Tell us about the time in Kentucky when you went back there doing television again, and I don't believe you did games during that stretch of time, but you did some really interesting things, and I'm looking at a picture now of a series you did called One Tank Trips around Kentucky, and tell us about some of the stuff that you did when you returned to Kentucky and how much you enjoyed it.
Well, I think that was something that, I kind of lucked into. The person who replaced me as the sports director and took over my play-by-play duties with University of Kentucky Sports, Rob Bromley, was still there, and I didn't want to go back and try to step on him in any way. And so when they brought up the idea of doing something called Trease's Travels and One Tank Trips, it really appealed to me, and I've always enjoyed writing, and considered writing for television one of my strengths, and so writing that series was something I really enjoyed and look back on with a lot of fondness.
When time wound down that you were considering, stopping doing television, what were the circumstances surrounding that around the time of 2009, 2010?
Oh, I think when the time is right, and again, by that time, our family was expanding, and I just thought maybe it was just time to be just husband and grandpa. And like I say, I think most people in this business know when the time is right and when to walk away.
And what were the circumstances of you returning to this area?
Well, it was really a matter of my son living here, and he had two children, a girl and a boy, and they're 7 and 5, and we see them quite a bit, and we are lucky enough to have them come and stay with us, and spend precious time together. So again, I just feel very fortunate with the way my life has turned out.
When I was getting some images off your Facebook page and looking at that, it looks like you and your wife really have embraced traveling through the years. It looks like one of your real passions.
Yeah, we do enjoy getting out, and now we have our daughter living in California with 2 grandchildren out there, and so we love those trips out to California. But we have another trip planned this year through Canada, but right now
right.
they're not letting people across the border, so we've had to postpone that trip.
And you obviously live in the area now. You follow the Royals, and you get to reflect back on a lot of the things that you did. You describe yourself on television doing baseball games as a minimalist, and you sort of have a matter-of-fact and minimalist way of describing your great accomplishments, but there must be a great sense of satisfaction for all the varied things that you did.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about that. I do feel like I was just, I keep saying it, but I just was so fortunate. My timing was so good. There were just so many great players back then in my years, and the Royals every year were in it. You know, if they didn't win it, they were in it at least, and so it kept things lively. And you know, back then, my biggest regret, I guess, is that we didn't do any home games. I never got to feed off of that home crowd, except for one game a season. We did a home game. It was called Fan Appreciation Night, and you know, we would give away prizes to fans who called in and that sort of thing. But the rest of the telecasts back then were all road games, and you know, you just, as I say, you couldn't use that home crowd to feed off of.
What do you hear now from people or reflecting back at your time with the Royals? There's always a lot of retrospective articles done and things like that. What are some of your fondest memories of your time, the dozen years with the Royals?
Well, I think it comes down to people and the relationships that you make. And of course, one of my fondest relationships was with the guy who became my broadcast partner, Paul Splittorff, and sadly we lost Paul a while back. But you know, we just had so many good times together, and I think I'll always miss him.
And you speak obviously fondly of your children and your grandchildren. That must be a great part of the satisfaction of now what sounds to me like a very, very rewarding and enriching retirement.
Well, that's for sure. You know, I just feel blessed that you know, my son has gotten to you know, he's a huge baseball fan. He's gotten to get some charge out of looking back on my career and what I've done, and it's made him a great Royals fan.
And finally, in conclusion, what's your maybe a couple of your overarching memories of your broadcast career and how you approached it?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. There were just so many good times, and I do wish I'd been able to do more games at Royal Stadium and feed off these wonderful fans here and the enthusiasm that they generate over Royals baseball. But that's the way it was back then. There was the mistaken belief that doing home games would hurt home attendance if you televised the home games. So I think the Cubs and the Braves both proved that theory wrong, and now I think, you know, they're doing every game on television now, even here in Kansas City, and I think, you know, I get a lot of fun out of just watching the guys and comparing you know, their approach with the way we did games then, and I really enjoy the broadcast team here. I think and Rex Hudler entertains me. You know, he says just enough goofy things to really keep things fun, and so I'm just enjoying being here and watching baseball from this angle.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.